Once upon a time, in the eerie town of Shadowville, there lived a peculiar Undertaker named Mortimer Grimstone. Mortimer had a reputation for his dark humor and bizarre sense of style. He had a long, unkempt beard that seemed to have a life of its own, and he always wore a top hat adorned with a raven feather. The townsfolk were both fascinated and terrified by him, often whispering tales of his mysterious graveyard practices. The Grinning Undertaker's Tarantula Tribute. Please subscribe to the Replicant Dreams. One stormy night, as the wind howled through the streets and the moon hid behind thick clouds, Mortimer received an unusual request. A family from the neighboring town of Gloomy Vale wanted him to conduct a special funeral for their deceased pet tarantula, Countess Arachnia. Mortimer couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of the situation. With a wicked grin on his face, Mortimer set about preparing for the unconventional ceremony. He transformed his funeral parlor into a spider-themed spectacle, complete with cobwebs, giant spiders made of papier-mâché, and eerie purple lighting. He even enlisted the help of a local magician, who created a holographic illusion of the deceased tarantula appearing to crawl across the walls. As the townspeople gathered to pay their respects, they couldn't help but feel a mixture of amusement and unease. Mortimer, dressed in a spider-themed suit, stood at the front, delivering a eulogy with his trademark dark humor. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mortimer began, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "we gather here today to mourn the passing of Countess Arachnia, a creature who inspired equal parts fascination and terror. Let us remember her as the eight-legged diva she was, spinning webs of mischief and causing hearts to race faster than any cheetah." The audience chuckled nervously, unsure whether to laugh or tremble in fear. Mortimer continued, weaving a macabre tale of the tarantula's escapades, embellishing it with exaggerated details that had everyone on edge. The air grew thick with anticipation, and even the holographic tarantula seemed to writhe with delight. Just as Mortimer was about to conclude his speech, a bolt of lightning struck outside, illuminating the room and casting an eerie glow on his face. At that very moment, the Countess Arachnia's terrarium shattered, and a swarm of tiny spiders poured out, scuttling across the floor and up the walls. The audience gasped and screamed in horror, jumping onto chairs and tables to escape the creepy crawlies. Mortimer, however, burst into laughter, delighted by the chaos that had unfolded. He knew that the tiny spiders were harmless and merely there for theatrical effect. But to the townsfolk, it was a night they would never forget. As the storm subsided and the tiny spiders disappeared, the townsfolk slowly regained their composure. They looked at Mortimer, half amused and half annoyed, but also with a newfound respect for his twisted sense of humor. From that day forward, Mortimer Grimstone became a legend in Shadowville, a quirky Undertaker who made death a little less frightening and a lot more bizarre. And as for Countess Arachnia, her memory lived on, not as a pet tarantula, but as the catalyst for a night of strange and spooky entertainment that would be recounted by the people of Shadowville for generations to come. The end. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the Replicant Dreams.